Okay, so it's happening again. The next battleground for fraud that nobody wants to cover, Somalian fraud, African fraud, happening in Maine, one of the whitest states in America. According to multiple reports in the Maine Wire, African immigrants who do not speak English in many cases and have no experience in healthcare are allegedly stealing millions of taxpayer dollars from the state by taking a 50-hour course to care for elderly Americans and then billing the government. All of this, according to our next guest, Steve Robinson, the editor-in-chief at the Maine Wire, and John Featherston is a columnist at the Maine Wire, the only news outlet in the state of Maine that's actually interested in this story. It's great to have you both back on. Steve, are these people actually providing the care and then billing the government, or is this similar to what we've seen in Minneapolis with the Somalian fraud?
In many cases, no, but in some cases, unfortunately, yes. They're providing some semblance of care, but it really boils down to neglect and abuse. As I told Sean Ryan on his podcast, it would be better if the patients were fake in some of these homes, because the conditions that they're living in that have been described to me by eyewitnesses and people familiar with these operations are inhumane and deplorable. But I think it's important to understand that there's a diverse array of fraudulent operations happening in Maine. We have home care agencies that are essentially just P.O. boxes that send invoices to the Department of Health and Human Services and get paid. But we also have the residential care facilities where actual houses are being operated under the guise of providing care for disabled adults. Wow. And there are real adults in those houses, but they're cutting corners and they're overworking their employees. So you have employees sleeping and neglecting the people they're supposed to be taking care of. So we have multiple different programs, multiple different forms of fraud. And just last week, the Office of Inspector General at the Department of Health and Human Services issued a report saying that in 2023 alone, Maine improperly billed $46 million worth of Medicaid payments to the federal government. And this was one program,
$46
one
million.
year.
Wow.
Section 28, $46 million.
Okay.
And they're looking to claw back that money.
John, I know that you and Steve went to this, the 5 Satters Home Healthcare Center. This was during business hours, by the way. Take a look at this.
8 to 5 doesn't mean much anymore, huh? That doesn't stop everybody.
Yeah, so Mustafa Alamedi, as far as I can tell, is a 25-year-old Mainer, and he has billed over $1 million from 2021 to 2024. He was audited, and his error billing rate was about 70%.
Okay, I don't know where Mustafa was, the Satters, because they misspelled stars right there. John, take us through what was going on there.
Well, Rob, it's amazing that how many home health care businesses that Steve and I have visited in the Portland area. And when you go during normal business hours, and we've made multiple trips just to make sure that we didn't miss somebody, I visited almost 30 home health care places that are billing millions of dollars back to the Maine taxpayers through Maine Care, and I can't find anybody at work during their posted business hours. So what does that make you think?
Wow. It reminds me of what's going on in Somalia, and you guys are the only one covering this in Maine. Steve, here's a local Maine Somali resident calling you a propagandist. Take a look.
They're calling journalism. None of that is journalism. It's all propaganda. They are targeting Somali-owned businesses, immigrant businesses. If you're black, you're being targeted. If you're brown, you're being targeted. Somali folks and immigrant people in the state cannot sleep. They are literally in fear because of these white national neo-Nazi folks.
Steve, your reaction to being called a white national neo-Nazi by a Somalian immigrant?
I mean, this one is a fastball right over the plate for me. That individual is Sophia Khalid. She's a former special assistant to Abdullahi Ali, the CEO of Gateway Community Services. Currently, Abdullahi Ali is on the lam in Kenya because he knows that if he sets foot on American soil, he's probably going to be greeted by the FBI. Gateway Community Services has been credibly accused of systemic Medicaid fraud over a period of 5.5 years by a former employee. They're under investigation by Homeland Security, by the Department of Justice, by the state of Maine. They're facing multiple investigations, and Ms. Khalid there was an employee at that organization during the time where the alleged fraud occurred, as was her brother, Mohammed Khalid, who also operates another business out of the same office complex. So I think that Ms. Khalid should have a reason to be sleepless at night if she's implicated in the elaborate fraud scheme that has been detailed by whistleblowers and that HSI is in the process of investigating.
John, here is another. You at a home health center. This is in Portland, Maine, the biggest city in Maine, right on the coast. Take a look.
There are 3 home health care facilities inside this building, and it's before 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You would think that people would be at work here. I've been to multiple health care places in the last week in the Portland area that are all billing Maine Care back, but I never find any people.
I mean, look at this. John, where are all the people? Look at that building, by the way. Where is everybody?
It's amazing, Rob. I mean, you literally go and I peer through the window and look through the window, and there's no furniture, there's no desktop there, and you have to laugh at the legit home care. I mean,
well, John, that's legit. If I need home care, I'm going there because they are legitimate. Can I just ask you, Janet Mills, Democrat governor in the state of Maine, you guys have uncovered what, over $45 million? Does anyone in Augusta, in the Capitol, care?
Oh, well, I'll say that we actually reported on Gateway Community Services and the credible allegations of fraud against them almost a year ago. Our first report on that organization was in March of 2025, and the CEO was running for president of Jubaland, Somalia, at the same time he was taking millions of dollars in Medicaid money and no-bid contract money from the Mills administration. Wow. After our report came out, the Attorney General of the state of Maine, Aaron Fry, who's a close ally of Governor Janet Mills, gave Gateway Community Services $400,000 in opioid settlement money, gave them more money after they were credibly accused of fraud. Only when national media caught on 10 months later and the pressure became too much did Janet Mills relent, and she said through a statement that she supported the investigation. She effectively became the last person in the state of Maine to realize that there was fraud happening at Gateway Community Services and there needed to be an investigation. So no, the answer is that Janet Mills doesn't really support an investigation into this fraud. Quite the contrary, she's been complicit in sweeping it under the rug and covering it up for political reasons.
Well, gentlemen, it's because of the work that you are doing that the national media is even paying attention to this. So please keep doing the work the stuff that you've uncovered here in the local media. You know, nobody cares. Nobody cares about this except the Maine Wire. So keep it up. Great having you on. Thank you, Steve Robinson, John Featherston. Appreciate it.